Welcome to Revolution Against Evolution. I'm your host, Doug Sharp.
Your co-host Rich Gear here, as usual, and we've got a couple guests here, don't we, Doug?
This is Rob and Candice Fox, and they're very special because they've done something that I've always wanted to do but never got the chance, and that was to hike the entire Appalachian Trail. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the Appalachian Trail magic that they experienced on their trip, and I think this is something that not very many people get a chance to do, and you did it on your honeymoon. Is that what you did?
A little after the honeymoon.
A little after the honeymoon.
Yep, but they were calling us honeymoon hikers.
Oh, yeah. So how much afterward? Was it like part of it, or you got back and then went off again, or what?
The following spring.
We got married in August.
Okay.
We hiked in March.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
So,
now, you started in what state did you start? You went from the south to the north, right?
We did. We started in the south. We started in Georgia, and we ended in Maine.
And how long is the trail total?
It's 2,184.2 miles.
How long did it take you to do this?
It took us about 6.5 months.
That's one reason I never did. I could never get that much time off of work.
We quit our jobs.
We had to quit both our jobs for this hike and save up for it.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Labor Day, my wife and I went to the Maranatha Bible Conference where they had a speaker there who actually did the same thing. He was he had quit his job as a pastor of the church. He was a pastor for 26.2 years.
Wow.
And so he figured that was his marathon. And so and he was actually hired by the Baptist Church to be a trail chaplain. And so it was quite interesting that he went on this trail, and actually he was, after his speaking engagement, he came back and finished the trail. And so he was just beginning to get into Maine when he took a little break to speak to us.
So is he starting from Maine then and going the other way?
No, he started in Georgia and went all the way.
Is that the way it does usually work that way? Can you usually go from the south to the north? Is that how they do it? Nobody goes from Maine to Georgia?
Some go southbound, but most people go northbound just
What?
because it's walking with spring, so you're actually seeing a lot of more flowers. If you time it out right like we did, you get a little less bugs. But going south is more of a challenge because you're more isolated. Some people don't like that.
What, going north?
Going south is more challenging.
It's more challenging, okay, all right. Speaking of the bugs, I saw that picture of that tick on your arm. It was a little one, but I'm saying, and they seem to like him better than you?
Oh yeah, they loved him. I only had maybe 1 or 2 on me, but he seemed to collect most of them for
Did
me.
he? Because that ticked them off, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right, well, yeah, so what was when I look at a whole trail like that, what are some of the highlights, if you get like 3 or 4 things, we don't have to necessarily do a top 10 list, but the things, what did you, number one, want to experience by doing this? Why did you want to do it? And what were some of the highlights when you went up there? Maybe 2 or 3 or 4 things that just really stick out in your mind going through there. That's something I'd like to know,
Sure.
And the audience would too, So, why did you want to do this? Because Doug said he wanted to do it too. I never had a desire. 2,100 miles didn't interest me.
For the challenge, I think the obvious part that you want to see is the scenery. Obviously you see all these beautiful views and scenic vistas, but you also meet some incredible people. You meet some trail friends and trail angels, and we had some bonding experiences. Probably spent more time with him than I needed to, but it was great.
Yeah, so what is a trail angel?
I was going to say, what is a trail angel?
A trail angel is someone that will help hikers along their journey on their path to Maine. And most people have hiked the trail themselves, but there are also church groups, organizations, and just completely random people out of the blue that will help hikers in many different ways. If it's either just giving them some food, or as we experienced, some people will actually take you into their home to let you use their showers, sleep in their bed, and they'll wash their clothes for you.
Oh yeah, that must be kind of nice after. Yeah, that's things might get a little ripe there. It seems to me.
They do.
Yeah.
It's pretty smelly.
And so, did you encounter any interesting wildlife?
We did. We saw 9 bears in the Shenandoahs in Virginia.
What, brown bear, black bear?
Black bear.
Yeah.
Black bear. Most of them ran away. We saw a few cubs, which made us a little leery. Try to find where
Good,
mom
good wise.
was. Yeah, and then
Yeah.
some of them will just stand, off the trail and look at you as you walk by, which makes you really, really nervous.
All right, a
Yeah.
knucklehead friend of mine.
Did they look hungry?
No, he went up to
No.
this. He went up to this bear. He did. He was a kid. He was like 18 years old. Went up to the bear and hit it on the head with his hand.
Oh.
I said, "You knucklehead, get out of there!" Nothing happened. The bear was apparently either well contented and but it looked up at him like, "What are you doing?" What an idiot.
Yeah.
So
We saw footage of a friend of ours was hiking. He was taking a video along the way, and he saw some rattlesnakes, and he was messing with the rattlesnake in his camera. It's like, ooh.
oh boy,
Don't want to do that.
Yeah, and black bears generally will leave you alone if you're not. Although black bears can get a little aggressive sometimes. I always thought they were pretty much the most benign of the bears, but unless you rile them. But there's been a few reports recently I've read about where they can get, some of them can get aggressive too. The brown bears can get nasty. Of course, the grizzlies, we all know out west, they're nasty, and the Kodiaks are really mean. But the black bears, yeah, still cubs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You always want to, if you see a cub over here, you always want to look to your right to make sure you're not walking in between the mom and her baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had an experience when I was in Yosemite National Park where we were on horseback and we were going up the trail, and there was all of a sudden we saw the bear cub up in the tree. Mama bear was over here, and the horse, my horse started to take off in the underbrush, and the girl that was in the horse ahead of me got thrown from the horse, and so it was a little dicey there for a few minutes, trying to figure out, well, what's going to happen here, because the bear left us alone. But I think that there was too many of us on horseback for the bear to want to mess with us.
No. When did you do that, Doug? I don't remember this.
That was back in around 1973, back when I was in the Navy.
Yeah.
But,
Back when he was young, like you guys are now.
But it is interesting. Rich and I, we went to the Smoky Mountains, I think it was in 2000, and one of the things we did there was investigate the geology of the area. And what's interesting about Smoky Mountains is that if you've been in Cades Cove, it's sort of a valley, and the geology there is exposed as older rocks on top of younger rocks. According to evolution, that doesn't work, but that's what it is in Smoky Mountains. The area about 9 miles wide and about 300 miles long. That this area of upside down geology exists. So that's sort of our segue into the theme of our show. But
Yeah.
but,
I know we're giving you a little travelogue. Hopefully the audience appreciates it because I really, the trail, I've been on a different piece of it, obviously, but I took the easy way. I rode up in the cars and looked around and went down and rode up. Because but there's some things that you can't really see except the way you did it.
Oh, for sure.
And that's what I was getting at. Like, I saw some of the shots where you're up on like some cliffs and stuff like that. You got to hike to get to those places, don't you? I mean, really?
Correct.
Yeah.
Did you have to train to get this? Did you get yourself physically ready to do this, or did you do anything special?
Not really. We actually just took our time at the beginning of the trail and just kept the miles low so that we didn't hurt ourselves. And
Yeah, how many miles a day did you probably put in?
starting off, like I'm speaking of, we wouldn't do more than 8 miles a day.
Okay.
And once we got further along the trail and got our trail legs, is what they call.
Yeah.
We'd start doing anywhere from 15 to 20 miles a day.
Okay.
So what did you pack? How did you travel light probably? So did you find that there were things that along the trail you decided you really didn't need as much as what you thought you did?
We actually did a very good job of preparing by getting online and looking at other people that have done the trail. But 30 miles in, there's your first stop, and it's a hostel, and everyone drops stuff in the hiker boxes, a place where you can share stuff that you don't want anymore. And we dropped a few things in there, just like chapstick and an extra compass, just random little things that ended up being about an extra 2 pounds, but that makes a big difference when you're doing that many miles up and down mountains.
Did you encounter any real hazards along the way? And in other words, did you turn your ankle, get hurt, or do anything of that sort?
Rob ended up tripping on a rock at one point. It wasn't necessarily anything that caused him a bunch of harm, but it was startling when it happened.
It scared her more than it scared me.
Oh, really? Why, did you fall down a bit or anything?
I got caught up in a root and just went face first because the weight on my back
Oh,
pushed me forward. And
Did you
ended
go
up
on one of those
hitting
where you're going
right
like this and trying to stop yourself? You know? Yeah.
But we were pretty fortunate. We didn't really have too many injuries. We had a few
Are there
falls here
are there
and
lots of people on the trail when you go? Or is there a lot of that are doing this? And do many of them do the whole thing like you did, or do people come in spots and then get in and get off? Or I'm just curious how that all works. I mean, it's kind of like a lot of marathons, or not marathon races, but certain things you'll do, but then they'll get off and camp out, or they'll do things and they'll start, or they'll go into civilization to pick up supplies or whatever. If you wear your shoes out, you get a new pair of shoes or something. I'm just curious how that works, you know?
Yeah.
Well, most people section hike or just do overnight hikes on the Appalachian Trail. But I believe there's about 3,000 people that attempt it every year to do the entire through hike.
But still, that's a
How
lot.
many actually make it?
I think our year is a better year because of the weather and what
I think
was
it was like one in 4.
Really?
25% maybe.
You guys are 1 in 4. Woo! All right. That's awesome.
I found it interesting when we talked with this trail chaplain that he talked about everyone seems to pick up a trail nickname. And so you guys had trail nicknames too, didn't you? And how did you get your trail, what were your trail nicknames, and how did you get them?
Mine was Rocky. Candice actually gave that to me because of at first when we got on the trail, when I would climb a mountain, I'd get to the top and I'd be excited and I'd start throwing punches and do the Rocky cheer. She was always following behind me up the mountain, and she decided to call me Rocky because of that.
Okay.
Yeah. Mine, I have a good amount of Spice Girl trivia growing up, and he wanted to name me Sporty Spice. And some of our trail friends in town thought that it's too long. You should just be Spicy. And so that would just end up being my trail name. And Rob thought I needed to earn it. So we were conveniently at a Mexican restaurant, and there's habanero sauce in front of me.
Oh yeah.
So I'd like to do a shot of habanero sauce.
You like that?
He did.
Oh, you
He
didn't eat
liked
it?
watching it.
Oh no, I was watching it.
Oh no, man.
Yeah.
It's good stuff.
Wasn't the
man.
greatest for the acid reflux later.
No.
Getting back up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember a lot of the trail names that the pastor talked about. His name was Hoosier. There was one guy whose name was Gurr. Another one whose name was Dirty Bird, and Nickelodeon. And
How do you meet all these guys? Where do you meet these people at?
well, I just met the one guy, but he talked about these other people with the trail names, and the guy that spent the most time with them his name was Rash.
That could be a lot of different reasons for that. He made rash decisions. He caused people to break out in rashes when they were around.
No, he himself had a rash.
No.
I think he got into some poison ivy or something. But in any event, that's just a lot of fun. You know, you have you just gain. And I think there was one guy, his name was trail name was Not a Bear. And that's because when he would come into the shelter late, and people would think he was a bear, and he says, "No, I'm not a bear."
So does everybody get nicknames on these trails, pretty much, or what?
Yeah, for the most part.
So So you guys go on the trail then, like you guys, obviously you stepped out and went to a Mexican restaurant, so how far away from, what's the farthest away from civilization on any part of the trail you probably were at? Was there any place that where you really felt isolated or really out in the boonies, you know?
Maine was pretty isolated. It was pretty rustic. There's a stretch in Maine called the 100-Mile Wilderness, and that's a stretch almost going up until the last mountain where there's pretty much no roads for 100 miles. So that's why you had to pack so much food and make sure you have adequate gear before you're entering that spot. But I mean, most of the rest of the trail, you're pretty close to town. I mean, you're traveling along the eastern seaboard.
Right.
So you're
Pretty
not too
developed,
far.
yeah. I was curious about that. I didn't, but there's probably this illusion of wilderness, at least when you're hiking on it. You're like, you don't see anything when you're on it, right? You know? Or do you always run into people all the time too?
We're always running into other hikers,
Yeah.
mostly, until you hit roads, and then you see cars and lots of, I forgot what we call them, day hikers.
Yeah.
And,
Day trippers, you know?
well, we had a nickname for them, I can't remember what it is.
Short timers, what? You know?
There'll be spots in the trail where you think, like you said, you're out in the middle of nowhere, and then all of a sudden, boom, you're in a town. Or there's a road, or...
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
But beyond that, would always remind me to think about the pioneers who actually hiked these things. You know, you guys, when I saw on some of the pictures, they had like markers that people, imagine the first people that were figuring it out. And then, even after they got it figured out, the people that had, who are the ones that put the marks on it? That's a lot of work, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's a Appalachian Trail Conservancy. They maintain a lot of the trail, and they have thousands of volunteers all along the trail.
Really?
Sure there's, yeah.
Now, does the Appalachian Trail go through the Smokies or the Shenandoah National Parks? Does it go through those or by along? So it's part of that, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it? Okay.
Yeah, the major parks that it goes through, federal parks, are the Smoky Mountains and Shenandoah National Park.
Yeah, I've been to those two, and they're beautiful.
And
Yeah,
the White Mountains.
Okay.
Those are the major parks that it goes through, but it also uses a lot of small state parks.
National forests.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, what state do you think was the toughest to hike?
I think there's two. Georgia was really challenging because that's where we started, and a lot of people say the first 60 miles are the hardest because there's a lot of ups and downs in Georgia, and you're also getting used to the trail.
Right.
But Maine was also really challenging. It's really rocky, really rooty, so you always have to watch your step. I don't know if you think the same thing.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. It was just starting off in the trail, that's why we kept it down to 8 miles a day.
Yeah.
It's just because we easily could have got hurt, and most people do.
Sounds like you guys did it pretty smart. Sounds like that's the way to do it. You know, build it up, see what you can really take. You know, I mean, unless you're totally in condition or whatever, you know, I mean, you know, and if you didn't do any extra, some of these guys, here's some of these like rock climbers and stuff. I mean, these guys are pretty buff, man. I don't even know how, to me, they're insane anyway, but you know, they go up, some of these guys, just they're going up by their hands without any, I go, are you crazy?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of them are, and a lot of them die too. They fall off and get killed. And so this is more of a leisurely, although there's some nice little hikes up on top, some cliffs and some things to see.
Yeah.
Some of those pictures you had were pretty beautiful stuff. You know?
Yeah, we definitely had to work to get there.
Yeah, some of those,
Definitely a lot
yeah.
of ups and downs. I think what they say, if all the ups and downs equal about climbing Everest 26 times approximately. So
Wow.
that's your
Look at
elevation change.
Why did you guys decide to do this? Is this something you always wanted to do, or how did it come to your mind to do it?
Well, originally we just saw it in a magazine, and
Simple as that, huh?
yeah. And so we both read the article, and we were both hiking at the time, just doing small hikes around Michigan.
Right.
Nothing nearly that big, but saw that and then ended up researching it, and within a month we decided that that's something we'd want to do, and so we did it.
You want to do
Yeah,
something, do something different after getting married rather than follow the typical course. So.
Yes, so did you find some people on the trail that actually took you into, you said they took you into town? Was there any one of these people that were particularly more memorable that they showed a special amount of kindness to you?
Yeah, I think there's a couple that stand out for me personally. There's a spot in New York, kind of the last spot I expect to see some trail magic, And it's really dry around the time of year that we went through. So there was a couple that would go out not too far from their home and set up coolers of water. And with the water, there's business cards, and it said if you need a place to stay, we'll feed you, we'll put you up for the night, just give us a call. So we gave them a call. And they came and picked us up. We slept there. They ordered food for us. We watched TV. We spent some time there, did our laundry, showered, all that.
Wow.
And then they dropped us off the next day.
Is this
Amazing.
is this pretty common, or just down the trails? Really, there's a whole network of just people.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, there's
Now, is that what you mean when you? Because you heard this term called trail magic. What does that mean? Is that
pretty much just that. I mean, it could be anything from food at a gap at a road crossing to rides into town. There's a man in Maine. We were just about to start looking for a ride from Millinocket, where the end of the trail, it's the last trail town, back to Bangor, because we were renting a car to come home. And he gave us a ride. It was an hour and a half ride one way. And he was like, I didn't have anything else to do, so I'll give you a ride.
Wow.
So it ended up being a 3-hour round trip for him. There's so many people out there that would do that. It's amazing.
Yeah, one of the things, something like this teaches you a little bit about the, faith in God, faith in people, and faith in, that there is some good left in this world. Mm-hmm. And you learn that about yourselves and learn it about other people. And with the world the way it seems like from what's portrayed on the in the media, you get sort of cynical that there isn't any of that left anymore. But when you get right down to it, people, there's a lot of real nice people in this world, and we know that we can see that happening in our lives.
You guys met it firsthand, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
it really restores your faith in humanity. I mean, you know what's out there, but you get to experience it firsthand on the trail, and it's just mind-blowing.
It's like there's an Appalachian Trail culture. Is that what it seems like there is?
Exactly.
It sounds like it's pretty unique. Would you guys ever do it again?
In a heartbeat.
We're going to.
Yeah.
We would do that again. There's other long trails out
You're
there.
going to do
that we have
the
already done.
Pacific Crest Trail or the Continental Divide Trail is another one, right?
Yeah, the Appalachian is the most famous one, I think. That's the one you always hear about. That's probably it.
I guess from what I understand,
it's the oldest,
it's the most difficult. The Pacific Crest Trail is actually a horse trail, and so you have to. The inclines are actually fairly gentle in comparison, but in the Appalachian Trail, there's a place in Pennsylvania that they call it the place where boots go to die.
Oh,
I was going to ask you to bring some of your boots in to see how they were worn out.
Oh, yeah.
How many pairs of boots did you wear out?
We actually got sneakers for that.
We knew we'd go through our boots, so we just got something a little bit cheaper.
And we used them specifically for that section. Having sneakers made us a little bit more agile on the rocks, so we wouldn't be quite at risk. At that point, I felt that my legs were strong enough that I wasn't at risk to twist my ankle. And
so it's a rocky area, right?
Extremely.
It was horrible.
And there's also, I guess in Maine, there's a place that you have to climb over a whole lot of boulders, isn't that?
The Mahoosic Notch.
Yeah.
It's a very famous place.
Mahoosic Notch, huh?
Yes.
What's Mahoosic? What is that?
It's the name of the creek that goes through there, I believe.
Okay. Is that probably an Indian name or something? Or
Yeah,
I believe so.
Okay.
It was a mile long, and I think it took us, how long do you think? Maybe 2 or 3 hours to get to span
A
the
mile
length.
long? Wow.
Yeah.
In terms of scenery, were there a lot of waterfalls or outlooks or things of that sort that really were memorable?
Yes, many. Too many to count.
A lot of eye candy, right?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's like when we go out west and we go out and see all the rocks and, you sort of, it's another canyon, another. You try not to get jaded because there's so much beauty out there. And it's really an amazing thing to think about. We talk about that on our show a lot, that despite the fact we live in what we call it's a fallen world, there's an incredible amount of beauty telling us that God has not removed his hand from us and from the world totally. Yes, we're under a curse, there's under judgment, and that's true, but still there's, like, you run into some people that would help you. and feed you. And then you run into beauty, the creation, the created order still can reveal the creator. And I think that's kind of neat. You guys are smart though to do it on your honeymoon. Because you'd be surprised how quickly life gets in the way and you can't suddenly do the things you think you'd like to do, you know?
Right.
Now, did you do the
you know.
four-state challenge?
No, we didn't.
What's the four-state challenge? Doug?
Well, there's a spot in the Appalachian Trail where you cross from Virginia into West Virginia and then to Maryland and then into Pennsylvania.
All in the same
and you
day?
can do it all in the same day if you, what is it, like 40 miles?
I think it's
Yeah.
48. And,
Yeah.
Wow.
We actually, that was around the time that we came back for his sister's wedding. So
Okay.
we found a spot in Maryland that Enterprise actually came and picked us up from the trail. And I don't know if our bodies would have let us do that though.
No?
There's a lot of people that did do it.
48 miles in a day, wow.
But I've seen that on the map, and I says, "Oh, that's cool. You could actually just take a whole, just one day and do that entire stretch in one day."
Yeah, you think you could do that, Doug?
Nah,
Nah,
I'm too well
we're too old.
out of shape.
Too
yes.
old and out of shape, too
Yeah.
beat up.
I
But
tell people I
have
feel
fun
that
thinking
was-
about it though. I used to love doing it. I still like, we get cliffs and stuff and moderate things now. I still like to run up and down them and
Yeah,
you never-
he just was on the climbing wall there, and
Yeah.
the old
I gotta
Creek.
try it, you know. But you know,
Yeah.
I wish I could do things I did when I
Right.
was 25. But hey, you don't. But you do the best you can when you're older. And so doing it when you're younger, that's a good time to. It's a good time to
Oh,
do it. So.
congratulations to
Yeah.
you two. You
Good
guys
job.
made
It's really good job, man.
Did a
Yeah.
great,
Thanks a lot.
Great thing. Something that not very many people do, and we'll see you next time on Revolution Against Evolution. We hope you enjoyed our trip on the Appalachian Trail.